It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
This is from Jay. He said, Bo and Brian, at what age did you start teaching your children about money? Also, Kim, there's a typo in there. At what age did you start teaching your kids about money?
Well, I don't think there's ever too early of an age. And the fact that, think about your kids when they're younger, you can talk about, little things. I don't do an allowance. That's we've done shows on this before. I have experimented trying to do an allowance, but we do pay for activities. When my daughter babysits, her sister, she gets paid for it. Now, it's a great market rate. That's why she loves when she babysits neighbors.
By the way, he does not throw that out to anyone else. Because I've asked if I could.
It's an internal, because it's baked into the recipe is me sheltering and feeding this child. Didn't you hear the whole eating out part of it? But it is one of those things you never can start too early with telling your kids what's important with money. So you keep this portion for giving away. You keep this, this portion goes to give away to others. This portion is for your blow money, and this portion is for saving for the future. There's nothing, and do it in jars. There's a reason piggy banks have been around for years, is because you get the tactile feel of dropping something in, hearing it hit. You can just create more piggy banks so that your kids can get that experience. And because that doing repetition and doing these behaviors will be positive things. But I think you definitely need to make sure by the time your kids are teenagers, because I have a daughter who's a sophomore in high school. We constantly are going through skills assessment of what are things she needs to do and know how to do before she goes to college, like washing her clothes, washing dishes, being respectful when she eats. It's also that way with money. You got to make sure your kids understand how money works, and then you just hope it's baked in the recipe. I will tell you, I think my daughter, because of the way my wife is wired, would have her in awesome brand name type stuff, but I have a daughter who could care less. She's more like her father. She wants gizmos and gadgets because she loves doing digital art and things like that, but could care less about handbags, jeans. So a lot of it's baked into the recipe. I wish I could tell you that you do step A through C and your kids are going to come out perfect with money. They definitely help, but a lot of it's also somehow baked into the recipe.
Yeah, I'll just add a small little thing to that. My kids are little bitty. They're 4 and 2, so they're super young. One of the things that I try to do for both of my girls is show them priority. I can't talk to them about saving and investing a ton, but I do let them know, like when we go out to eat, why we leave a tip. And I'll let them kind of sign the receipt and talk to them about why we're generous, or when we give our time or when we volunteer, we kind of let them know the reason why we're doing that so they can see what mom and dad's priorities are, that hopefully that bleeds down to them, that those sorts of things and the way they use money become priorities for them as well.
Well, what you said, because that's a key part, and I left that out, is the communication aspect of it, because that creates the education environment. And that's why, like when I talk about the matching, I do a dollar for dollar match on whatever my daughter wants to put in savings or her custodial Roth account. And it's not just the act is where this ends. We actually have review meetings where I will show her, because I will tell you, recently I showed her how much money she has made. And she immediately, thought it was so great. She equated that to how many hours she has to babysit to get that. And I was like, you didn't have to do any of that. And I think that if you can get that connection built at an early age, it will help with your kids tremendously. Realize the army of dollar bills, there's not an age on recruiting that army.